Your social media trends with me this week, Dinilohlanga Mekuto from SABC Digital News. Dini, your first time on the show. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Natasha.
All right, so let's start. I mean, as we've seen in our headlines, all eyes on Port Elizabeth with the ANC's campaign trail. They're launching their manifesto tomorrow. What's been coming up in social media?
Well, leading up to the manifesto this weekend, a lot of people were commenting about how the ANC is dealing with the president's impeachment call and people calling for him to step down. And what happened was there was a hashtag ANC Womens League that started trending. And another one that was trending during the week was ANC Gauteng. But what we found out was that the ANC Womens League generated a lot of negative commentary from people. Okay. And I think we do have a tweet on the background. Okay, these are the stats on the two hashtags. Put together, the ANC Women's League and the ANC Gauteng generated about 3 million comments on the story.
Which is quite a significant number. I mean, yeah.
And the impressions, which is people that see it that might not have interacted with it, were about 6 million on both stories put together. Those are the figures on ANC Women's League. And another trending topic that came from the whole ANC thing was a billboard that was put up in Nelson Mandela in Port Elizabeth about Dinilohlanga. So those were the main trending topics concerning the ANC this week.
And it's been the whole week, not just today. I mean, today is sort of the pinnacle before tomorrow. So it's been the whole week. So that's quite interesting. Okay, also taking a look, we've had a few interesting court sessions in the week. We've had the Valush and Hani trial, as well as today is 20 years since the start of the TRC. Yeah. So if people picked up on this, I mean, it is...
And those three are actually related, because if you remember, Walush was part of the TRC. And as you said, today we're celebrating or commemorating the 20th anniversary of when the TRC started out. But people were also not impressed with the court's decision. As you remember, the Pretoria High Court had dismissed government's decision to review the parole of Janusz Walusz. And people were saying, what should be done with murderers? Should they be given parole? And we ran a snap poll on Twitter, which the question we asked was, in reference to the Janusz Walusz case, do you think murderers should ever be given parole? And the responses there, 58% of the people said no, and 27% said yes, they should be given, and 15% said they should be given if they are terminally ill. So those were the results we got from our social media.
All right, so quite clear stances there coming through from social media. Another big story that's been trending, I also saw Sky News this morning talking about it. I mean, it's a worldwide story, it's a global story, is the kidnap of the Chibok girls. And yesterday was 2 years since they were kidnapped. And it's interesting to note that in the first 2 weeks of the kidnapping, not a lot of media organizations had picked up on the story until 2 weeks on. And it's important, I suppose, with a story like this to keep it in the public domain. So if we look at what's happening on Twitter, how is it relating to this story?
Well, the hashtag that had started 2 years ago when the story first broke started trending yesterday, because it's been 2 years since those girls had disappeared. And nothing really happened, you know. I actually listened on one of the big media houses. They were talking about it, saying that, you know, a hostage situation is quite complicated. It's complicated when there's one person involved. How much more if there's 250 people involved? But people are saying that there seems to be not that much interest in saving these girls, or maybe they didn't understand the whole complication of trying to rescue people from a hostage situation. And people from around the world were talking about this because, you know, it's a big story. People like Michelle Obama came out and went with a hashtag that said, bring back our girls. And we saw that hashtag trending again yesterday.
Okay. All right, and then another international story. Kobe Bryant, even if you're not a Lakers or a basketball fan, you know the name. You know the name Kobe Bryant. And we did run a story this week about how brilliantly he did in his last game, wrapping up his... How long has his career been? 20 years. And he's now 37. So, I mean, what an incredible sportsman.
What's interesting is that he's one of few players who has spent his career with one club. So he's been with the LA Lakers since 1996-97, and he's the third highest scorer of all time in the NBA list of highest scorers, only after I've just forgotten the guys' names. He's had 5 NBA championships, but those are the stats in the background. But there's something that stood out for me when they interviewed him before the game. They asked him if he had any regrets, and his response was, if he had the power to turn back the hands of time, he wouldn't use it. Now, that was powerful for me.
Yeah.
Living a life with no regrets.
With no regrets, very important, yeah. Oh, well, there you have it, Kobe Bryant. I mean, what an incredible record and what an incredible sporting career.
And he scored 60 points in his last game.
In his last
that was
game.
Outstanding.
Fantastic. All right, Dini, thank you very much. Good to have you with us. I'm sure we'll have you with us again. Dinilohlanga Mekuto from our SABC Digital News.